What's up, Word Warriors? It's your girl Jazz, the Story Maestro, and today we are going to talk about how to draft your outline. So, I wrote a poll, and it was between 4 things, and you guys chose how to draft an outline, so let's get to it. First things first, outlining is not the devil. I know a lot of people think that outline is going to stifle their creativity when in actuality, it's going to help you stay on track to get to where you need to be. It is not mandatory. Please keep that in mind. So you have to definitely understand why you are making that outline. And it is not to confine you in a box. It's not to just like smush every piece of creative genius that you have. It's to help. That's it. So what is outlining? For me, outlining is basically the skeleton of your story. It's the bones. It's the beginning, middle, and end, and then the little bits in between can be like the little phalanges and all that stuff. But it is basically just the structure of your story. Nothing more, nothing less, unless you make it that. If you are me, you are overly outlining, but it has helped me. I'll probably go into that later if you guys want me to, but you have to know what outlining is. It is just a structure, and it is something that can be corrected. Corrected or changed, I'll say that. I'll just say changed. I won't say corrected because then it makes it sound like you did something wrong. Something that can be changed in your story. You can always change your outline. You can always change your story before you hit publish. And if you are an indie author, you can unpublish your book and republish it. That's another story for another day. But you have opportunity to change your story still with your outline. I plan on breaking this up into 3 parts. Right now, we are going to focus on brain dumping. So when we brain dump, we're going to get everything out of our mind that made us create the story. So that goes from the very first idea of what the story can be about to your themes, motives, trope. So that way we can, just have something to go off of. Like, this is straight up outlining 101 because I'd rather you start from the very, very beginning and move on to the top later. That way you have everything that you need rather than just jumping in. Because when you jump in and you just like, I'm just going to take this and take that, you may miss a step. And then that's why you end up like kind of feeling like, oh man, what am I doing wrong? So let's start with the brain dump. Where did your story start? Usually it's like one small idea, whether it's one line or a whole paragraph that you were able to conjure. But what was it? Did you see a girl saving the world? Was it a man falling in love with a woman that he never met? Was it a horror story? Don't ask me about horror stories. That is not my specialty. But what was your idea when it came to this story? And just write it all out. It does not need to be in any specific order. If I were you, I'd take like a blank piece of something. Like, for instance, I have my Google Keep. It's just like a note. Can you see that? It's just like a note thing. You probably can't see because the window's glaring, but and just write it all out, write it, list it, or write it in scribbles, like where it's just notes all everywhere. No matter what, get it all out so that way you're not trying to remember what you came up with. I think that's one of the worst parts when it comes to trying to outline or trying to just create a story in general. Not trying to outline, but trying to create your story because you're trying to remember all these ideas that you have when you need to write it down. You write it down, then you have something to remember about because now you are creating space for more creativity. That is my slogan, my motto. But yes, make space for creativity. Make more space for your creativity because at that point, now you can keep creating. When you're still trying to hold on to something, you are limited with how far you'll go with your other creativity. Hope that makes sense. I'm really trying to like stick to being very authentic in this. That way it doesn't sound so rehearsed, but this is what I mean. So yeah, so yes, the brain dump. And from there, just keep going. This is what the story is about. Oh, this can happen in the story. That can happen in the story. And it doesn't have to be in order. So when you're brain dumping, you are literally not literally, but you are vomiting on the page. You are writing every single thing out that comes out. And don't worry about it specifically remaining in the story because some things you will take out. And that's why I made sure to say that you can change your outline because, for instance, with the outline that I created for my book, when I tell you that probably half of that outline is not even a part of my story no more, it just isn't. I don't even know if I'm still in this. I actually don't think I'm even in the same genre still as I was before. No, I think I am. No matter what, a lot has changed. So this is, because it's a brain dump, it gives you the opportunity to just get every single thing out, and then when you sort it later, then you can just erase or take out whatever you want, and you can still go through that throughout the entire process of your writing journey. Now that you have done your brain dump with getting all the ideas that you have with every like story idea, the story beats, now you can go into, like I said, themes, motifs, and tropes. So a theme is the overall message of your story. What are you trying to relay to your reader? Motif is, I guess you can say, the way that it was explained to me is to say like how some things continue to show up in stories and it's a representation of something. For instance, I remember reading a story in high school called Always Running or Always Bouncing or something like that, and it was the theme was that he was always on the go. So it was just like, oh, he's always bouncing around like the ball, or he's always ended up running somewhere in the story. And it's based on, it's a real story, it's a nonfiction story. Nonetheless, it was the representation of how he's always he's always on the run was there. He's always like, he's bouncing a ball, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to give you another example. So something as simple as the color green. When you think of the color green, you might think soothing thoughts, or you might think evil. For instance, in the Wizard of Oz, you have the Wicked Witch of the West, and she is green. So when you think of green in that story, it is affiliated with something evil until you get to the Emerald City. So there you go, you have a balance. So it really depends on how you want to set the theme, or how you want to set the motive up, and how you want to set it up, and where you want to set it up. So I hope that makes sense. And then the trope. A trope is basically a pattern. So you got I don't know why pregnancy trope just first came to mind, because I don't think I've ever necessarily read a book with a pregnancy trope, and I see that it is a debacle in the bookish community. Hey, I'm not a part of that. Anyway, you got the chosen one trope, the save the world trope. You have the corrupt government trope. You have the person who didn't know that they had powers trope. I'm thinking of like all my favorite books, so these can all fall in the same thing. But no matter what, there is a pattern. So when it's the chosen one typically out of nowhere, it's like, no, you are the person who has to save us. In addition to, now you have to step into that role, and then they go through something that really makes them say, hey, okay, I'm going to take on this mantle. Whereas you also have like the corrupt government, where the government has certain types of tests that are run, and you have to go through them, and eventually you come to an understanding that the government is corrupt. But again, there is a pattern. The way that it goes about is up to you as the author to be creative, but there's a pattern there. There's always a way that these people, the government, is behind it. Finally, let's really end this with, again, understanding the purpose in which you are writing, because like I said before, it is not mandatory. You have to really come to peace with why you are making this outline. If you are sitting there saying, okay, this is what's going to go into my story, it has to go this way, and that way, when you diverge from that, it is going to freak you out. Especially if you don't have a loose not a loose understanding, but if you already don't have an understanding of what the outline will mean to you. So if you know that your outline is loose and you have wiggle room, you'll give yourself wiggle room. But if you have this idea that it's mandatory, that you have to go about it in the way that it is already written, when you diverge, you're going to try to figure out how, because if the path is straight and then you go this way, you're trying to do all of this to figure out how to get back here to go straight again, instead of just saying, okay, I'm going this way, where are we going? Because it can still work. Granted, it could or could not stop you, because then you may feel like you need to outline more, but you don't have to. Just go with the flow, and when you stop, and then you can go back and change your outline and see if it all still works. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Now you can restructure your outline and kind of brainstorm again, because you're not starting from the top now you're starting from where you're starting from and trying to see where else it gets to, because there are certain things that could still work in your story along with the divergence that you already took. So it's not mandatory. I really want to stress this, that you have to make peace with what the outline is doing for you, because you can have something very simple with an outline that's, like I said, it's just the bones. Here's a line, this is the beginning, middle, and end. Here's a couple things, here's a couple things here, because you can do the 3-act structure where there's like 5 points. Boom. Or you might want to do the Save the Cat method, which is one of my favorites, but that's a 15-beat method broken up into, it is broken up into 3 acts, but it's broken down even further with a lot more detail. Or like I said before, you can be like me where I overly do it. So my my outline consists of me breaking it down into 3, making sure I hit beats, and not only that, I summarize my beats on top of making sure that I have 3 details for my beats to make sure that they all connect and connect with each other, and it makes sense within itself. It's up to you how you want to create your outline. But again, this is outlining 101. So however you want to do your outline, that is very important. Granted, in the next outline we're going to talk in the next video we're going to talk about beats, and that's going to be a very important part. Does it matter the structure that you choose when it comes to beats? I'm not going to necessarily say that it does. I would say the structure just gives you a better picture of how that goes. Because if you want to do the snowflake method, it's going to be like a spider web, or you can call it the spider web method, but it just, it flowers out. Or you just do a very, linear and it just goes straight down. But it's about the way that I guess you could just say the way that you have mapped it out and you want to show it to yourself. And that's what I have for video number 1. If you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me in the comments, and what you would like to possibly see more of, because it might be in the next video, or I might need to make an additional video for that. And yeah, I hope this helps. Be on the lookout for the next video to come up. If you guys don't know me, I'm Jazz, the Story Maestro. I offer editing services and writing and editing tips, and soon to be hopefully writing blogs. I'm not going to promise that, but I am writing my own book and I need to really stick to it. So yeah, so thank you for being on my channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and just talk to me. I love to hear from you guys.